Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Royal Sussex Live. Welcome, one and all. Thank you so much for being here. Or should I just go through the list? Should I? Okay. I haven't done some of these in a while, so I'm a little rusty. Thank you for clicking on my channel. That's Sharon. Hi, everybody. Wait. Never mind. That was supposed to be pedal. And then, of course, hello, Ivy here. That's Ivy. Um, and gosh, do I have another one? Oh, hi, I'm Lauren Brown. Oh man, how do I just always start off in such a good mood? I don't know. Um, let's see. Oh, I know what I need to do. One more thing. I thought I had everything together, but I don't. Give me just a second, you guys. Hi. wait. No, that's wrong. Hello, Ivy here. Why does that always make me smile? I love to say that though. Okay. I am distracting myself from what I need to do. Give me just a second here. Um, Let me see. Okay, so I opened up another screen. I can see what you guys are seeing. And just one more thing. We need to let some other people know we're here. Hello, Ivy here. And in case you guys missed it, Ivy, I just watched the third part of Ivy going through the spare. And uh, wonderful, absolutely wonderful. I'll make sure I leave a link for that later. Okay, we're good. We are so good. All right, so let me say hi to a few people and then we'll get started. Um, Jan Martin, you were here first, huh? Thank you so much for that. Hello, Annie Bullard, Sherry Ware, Anastasia Isabella. Also, Lydia Washington is here. Mary H. Cappy Gabby is here. Thank you so much for being here. And oh, okay. Somebody just had to plead a fifth, huh? Black Queen, Rodney Jackson, Sela C, Noreen Bagali, Elaine Parker, Connie Balmer. Hi, Connie Balmer. Sorry to keep you up so late again. Josephine Young and Eugenie Miller's here. Lottie's here. Panther. Okay. All right. So I'm going to do a big scroll. I'm just going I'm also, hi, Legs. I'm going through to make sure there are no super chats that I miss. Hey, Misty Blue. Misty Blue, did you get the 1,000 yet? I hope so. Lambert Charles is here. Cynthia Thorpe, Marshar, and Dee Dee is here. Okay. Um, I'm curious. So I'm going to go and check. I want to. Okay. Let me get rid of that, and that. Just to say I did. Okay. All right. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. Much closer. All right. All right. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone who went over to subscribe to Misty Blue. There's still an opportunity to do that. Um. Oh Lord, what did I just do? Okay. Yes, there's still an opportunity to do that. And there you go, Misty Blue at the top of the chat. Got to get over 1,000 so we can have access to the community tab. There you go. All right, very good. right, so let's get on then. I'm all set. I got everything the way I need it. So, Harry and Meghan, it's we. I just let the anniversary of the picture, the Sussexes in the rain. I let that anniversary come and go and didn't even acknowledge it. But one of the greatest photos of any royals ever, ever, of course, are the Sussexes being rained on by diamonds from the sky, night diamonds falling on them. How beautiful is that? Oh, let me get me out the way so you can see. Look at there. They're literally walking amongst diamonds. Diamonds are raining down on them. You know, um, you could live a lifetime and never have a photo this great, but they have so many iconic images. That just goes to show you the strength of their love. They have so much love and so many blessings that just the simplest gestures become yet another iconic photo. How can anybody be that fortunate not once, twice, but I'm going to say dozens of times to have these iconic photos where you see two people truly in love and truly engaged with each other? It is just so opposite of the rest of that family. But, they, well, well, it's just so opposite, isn't it? It's so otherworldly compared to the rest of them. So, anyway, um, well, uh, I'm trying to be polite. Okay, so big news from the Archewell Foundation yesterday. The Archewell Foundation is an impact driven nonprofit created by the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Our core purpose is quite simply to do good. We meet the moment by showing up, taking action, and using our unparalleled spotlight to uplift and unite communities, both local and global, online and offline. So you could always go to the Archewell Foundation page, and I hope you will, because the Archewell Foundation is the official word from the Sussexes, along with the I think every so often they may have something from a representative when they deem it necessary. But one of the first places you can go is just check the Archewell page. If you see anything about Archewell and you're not sure, the only way to make sure that it is 100% accurate is to just go to their page. Now, there was that long period of time where they didn't add anything new to the page, but when anything comes up on the Archwell page, you know who's the first person to find out? The the Daily Mail. They couldn't wait to pick through it. And then the very next article, they tried to sow seeds of doubt about who's, well, actually, they say, but excerpts are not excerpts, but experts are concerned about this, that, and the other. Well, let me alleviate them of their concern. There is nothing um, to hide. There's no underhanded anything with it. It's a foundation that's only a couple of years old, and considering the how new the foundation is, they have already made a huge impact. And of course, they have partnered with Girls Inc., Genesis, Love One, URL Media, just to name a few. You can see some of the logos down there at the bottom of other organizations that they have partnered with. And that's just to name a few. Okay, Archewell Foundation 2020 to 2022, the Impact Report. Now, um, I've already seen, hey, Sherry Ware, Mo Shannon, I've already seen where I, Church Nelly, the Omid Scobie was attacked by some of the squatties for misinterpreting or misreading or whatever But Omid said, I've taken the information line for line from the foundation. So let me just say, please, folks, calm down. You can go to the foundation page and get the information yourself. It is public. Omid even put a link to it. But we have become so reactive, for good reason, because there are some pretty dark forces out there that cannot wait to pounce upon anything the Sussexes mention or say or do so that they could try to disparage them or discredit them. So I do get it, but it's just not healthy for us. So, right there, you can see some of the things. I think I have every page. Yeah, I think I've actually lifted every page. And of course, I'm not going to go through them in detail. But again, if you choose to do so, just go to the Archewell page and you can find it for yourself. Let me see here. Where is that? Oh, go to about. Yeah, when you go to about, go to about Archewell, and then is it all right? Okay, yeah, there it is. All right, so I'm looking at it myself. I'm looking at it up close. A letter from our co-executive directors at the Archewell Foundation. Our core purpose is quite simply to do good. We meet the moment by showing up, taking action, and using our unparalleled spotlight to uplift and unite communities, both local and global, online and offline. Now, let me just put a little underline for unparalleled spotlight. They do have an unparalleled spotlight, which is why I'm telling you there is uh, there is nothing hidden here. There's no hidden agenda. Because they have an unparalleled spotlight, why in the world would they risk anything that would cause questions? But that has never stopped the very right wing, um, very negative, hateful, evil tabloid press to try to make something out of nothing. We believe that philanthropic work is more than a handout, it's a hand held. Oh, I like that. Usually they say it's a hand up, but here it says it's a hand held. To activate this belief, we independently create dynamic and impactful programming to serve communities in need. We also partner with key organizations and leaders to identify immediate needs, build meaningful initiatives, and drive long term change. Since its founding in 2020 by Prince Harry and Meghan, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, the Archewell Foundation has built a growing body of work rooted in in the philosophy of compassion, connection, and care. With a leadership of the Duke and Duchess, we have cultivated strong strategic partnerships with leading organizations, invested millions of dollars across the profit space for sustainable programs and campaigns, and designed a strategy centered on large and lasting community impact. The results of their work are undeniable, both through metrics that can be seen and an emotional impact that can be felt. Baked into all that we do is the core belief that our collective well being and mental health are paramount. Our initiative between 2020 and 2022 have included investments in vaccine equity, global relief centers, refugee settlements, and care of families and communities in need, and the reshaping of our online world with the support of groundbreaking leaders in this space. Thank you for helping us create lasting impact and drive systematic change, one act of service at a time. And that is from James Holt and Shauna Knepp, co executive directors of the Archewell Foundation. Amen. So, um, there you have it. There is so much going on here. All right, let me do this. All right, so that first page is where, oh, I'm sorry, the first page there on the left is the one I referenced. And then the second page, it has contents by the numbers. Um, all right, yeah, by the numbers. Responding to humanitarian crisis, uplifting women, fostering communities, building a better world, restoring trust in information, mental health, and looking ahead. So, by the numbers, I'm not even going to go into that because I don't want to be the next person on the chopping block of what the numbers say and what the numbers mean. Again, you can go and look for yourself, but all the information is there for your examination. Maybe you can find something that the tabloid press couldn't, but I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but it's just amazing how you could always count on them to try to, um, you know, stoke the nasty comments online and such by making up things. Responding to humanitarian crisis. Here's some examples of that. And then, of course, uplifting women. And then there's fostering community. There it includes Uvalde, building a better world online. Oh, Cindy Williams just died. Laverne and Shirley co-star. I love Cindy Williams. Laverne and Shirley. They're all gone now. That's so sad. All right. And then, of course, in response to today's, well, actually, last evening's release of that report, the People's Vaccine, proud to have our alliance featured alongside other brilliant organizations in Archewell 2020 to 2022 Impact Report. Harry and Meghan have been unwavering allies to the Alliance advocacy for vaccine equity, and we appreciate their work and support. And then, of course, from the people of Uvalde, the Kaboom, that says, we are grateful for Archewell Foundation's partnership in our work in Uvalde. Together, we created a joyful space for kids to begin healing. We plan to continue this work. Read more about this partnership in the Archewell Foundation Impact Report. And then over there, Michael Sheldrick, we are grateful to partner with the Sussex's Archewell Foundation to promote vaccine equity at a time when vaccine nationalism was rife. Our collective advocacy helped procure 12.66 million COVID, oh, I accidentally said the C word, 19 vaccine doses globally throughout garnering public and private sector support. Oh, I always say pandemic in exchange. Now I'm going. Now I have just woken up the algorithm. And then, of course, on Sunday, the nonprofit releases first impact report sharing statistics on the work of the foundation from its inception in 2020 to 2022. In 2021, the Archewell Foundation raised about 13 million and gave approximately 3 million in grants. Now, I think that 13 million and the 12.66 doses, I think somehow that's gotten confused. And also, let me see, and gave approximately 3 million in grants. People, that is People Magazine, understand that the remainder is being allocated for charitable grants in the years to come. So, yes, there is a lot left over. And I would say that aside from the administration, which can also be very expensive, but aside from the administration, they have a good amount of money left over. And what is going to happen with that money is for them to decide. But the articles from some of the haters and even some of the online comments made it appear as though, well, they gave away 3 million. What happened to that other $10 million? Well, I mean, I could say the same thing about the Earth flop, which how much did the Earth flop have? Was it 12 million? And they spent 7 million, or how much was it? They spent a lot of money holding these big events like the Earth flop that they had in London, which got almost no ratings to speak of. Or how about the Earth flop in Boston? Also, they spent a lot of their money. Now, when was the last time you saw the Sussexes hold some big gala event for their foundation like the Earth flops? You see what I mean? When was the last time the Sussexes had this big gala event full of stars so that they could promote the Archewell Foundation or any of the causes for the Archewell Foundation? The truth is, you haven't. But Earthflop has pulled in all of this money. And also, you have the Royal Foundation, which fortunately, Meghan was smart enough to wall herself off from that so that some of the causes that are near and dear to her heart, like the Hub Kitchen, could get all, if not most, of their money. Um, as we have learned from reading Spare, that the Royal Foundation had a huge pool of money. And when Harry had a project that he wanted to start, even though he helped to procure most of said money or funding, Willie had a fit because Harry dared take a small portion of money that is just sitting there because the rest of the people in the foundation lack imagination. But when they do spend the money, they'd rather throw some big gala or something where nobody shows up. Harry wanted to do something to help wounded and injured warriors, soldiers, and it has been a huge hit, more than able to sustain itself. Harry raised most of the funding the same way they funded the Royal Foundation. He went out and did the legwork. He used the weight of his personality to move mountains, something that the rest of those crackpots could never do. Leg says, I think people don't distinguish rather raising versus collecting. You can raise money for various charities, which go directly to the charities. You can raise and collect money, which you can then distribute. Great point, Legs. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, when it comes to charities and foundations, there have been a lot of, you know, flimflammery in the past, and people always wait to see that there is something nefarious going on. But the Sussexes are being very transparent about things. And of course, we haven't heard anything like, oh, what was it, Earth Flop that had all that money tied into the depletion of the rainforest. Remember that? Or investing in other like shady deals that actually counter the idea of saving the environment or avoiding global warming, but instead it actually invests in those things, which was embarrassing. But you won't see or hear the Daily Mail go on about that. And I think what was so embarrassing for Willie was when that did happen, it was actually Bloomberg News, someone who Willie tried to connect to the Earth flop as publicly as possible. And now that I think about it, did Bloomberg even show up in Boston? I don't even think he showed up. I don't even think he was there. But it was Bloomberg that exposed the Earth flop for being the flop that it is, that they had taken in all this money and that they had spent so much celebrating and being all flashy. And then you find out that where they banked, where they did their banking and investing, was full of things that goes counter to the idea of the earth flop itself. I mean, how embarrassing. And they have the nerves to try to make a big deal out of a impact report from the Archewell Foundation. I'm just like, please don't make the Sussex Squad Detective Agency start pulling out receipts and unearthing things because you will be sorry. You'll be crying like a rat eating onions. But thank you so much, Legs, and thank you for distinguishing those two things for us. And thank you for the super chat. Yes, do not get the Sussex Squad Detective Agency all riled up because you will be sorry, partner. Partner, you will be sorry. Okay. So speaking of you'll be sorry, this just gets better and better. You guys, if you have been wondering why I am obsessed with Scotland, because I'm telling you, this this is going to be a big thing, and it looks like it's getting bigger by the moment. So Angus Robertson, vote for Scottish independence as a vote to rejoin the EU. Now they haven't said much about this. Yes, a yes vote for the Scottish independence would also count as a vote to rejoin the European Union. And let me see, the Constitution, what is that? The Constitution Secretary has said. So, um, if I understand that right, they're saying that we don't even have to do another vote about rejoining the EU. If you vote for Scottish independence, that's inevitable. The people, okay, the majority of votes in Scotland wanted to stay in the EU. The majority of votes in Northern Ireland, which by the way, Northern Ireland's economy is booming because they are in the European Union still, and they also have access to Britain. So well, let me see. I think they still enjoy the benefits of the EU for whatever reason. So they kind of have both oars in the water, whereas otherwise the rest of the United Kingdom does not. So yeah, it's a peculiar situation where Northern Ireland actually benefits in spite of you know leaving the EU because I don't think they are completely out of it. I forget exactly what distinguishes that, but anyway, their economy is booming. But the problem for the Brexit is that it has blocked investment in Britain because people who want to invest or people who want to do business with some of the industry there, they don't know what's going to happen next. So it really was shooting yourself in the foot. What a ridiculous thing to do. And anyway, so again, Angus Robertson insists that the second ballot on whether or not to rejoin the bloc would let me pull that down. I don't know what that is. Would not be needed post independence as the choice put to Scotland voters would be an independent Scotland with the EU or staying in the UK. So again, they don't need to do a second ballot. If they vote, if there's enough votes to, leave the UK, to leave that union, then Scotland automatically is saying we want back into the European Union. And of course, the EU will accept them because they know how the votes were broken down, and the areas of Scotland all seem to unanimously want to stay in the EU. And at a time when Charles is trying to unite the country by being, crowned the king, this is really pushing against that. I mean, because he is the king of Scotland as well. So, not good for Charles. It's a bit embarrassing. And also, he may be crowned king only later in the year to find out that Scotland is no longer part of the Union. So this is a seismic shift. I mean, it is going to impact everybody. And I'm not saying that it's necessarily going to be easy to redefine governments, but that's exactly what it means. Scotland already has a parliament, and Nicola Sturgeon, she is called the first minister and not the prime minister because, as they are still part of the union, there is already a prime minister. So she's the first minister of Scotland. And then after separation, well, then of course, Scotland will probably have a prime minister, possibly Nicola Sturgeon. So we'll see how that goes, but it is something to watch. Elaine Parker, thank you so much for the super sticker. And thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex and being a member of Royal Sussex. Okay, every local authority area in Scotland voted to stay in the EU during the 2016 referendum, with Scotland overall backing remained by 62 to 39%. Meanwhile, the UK wide result was 52 to 48 in favor of leave. See what I mean? After gaining the backing from the majority of voters in England and Wales, Northern Ireland also voted to remain by 56% to 44%. And the EU knows that. The European Union knows that. And because they know that that is to be true, that Northern Ireland and Scotland wanted to stay, well, then in the future, it would take probably about another 20 years and a lot of polls and possibly another referendum, but it could take up to 20 years if the United Kingdom is ever to rejoin the European Union. But they don't want to go through this again. And I'm going to tell you another thing that is very impactful and is also very injurious to the British economy. They are still trying to work out a trade deal with the United States. Leaving the EU means that the Great Britain, the United Kingdom, has to work out new trade deals that they were under the umbrella of the EU trade deals. And without that, now they have to redefine those trade deals. So there was like this big move to block others from entering the UK. And also, it's not so easy for people in the UK to go work in another country in Europe. So it really impacts the young people. And they are the ones who would definitely vote to go back to the European Union. They really have hurt young people with that vote. That vote that was supposed to solve all the problems has created more than you could possibly gauge. Happy Coronation Day. And right here, Westminster is hostile to the very existence of the Scottish Parliament. Nicola Sturgeon has said that she laid out the details of the SNP Special Democracy Conference. The event is due to be held in Edinburgh on March the 19th. So they are steamrolling ahead, whether or not the Parliament in London, whether Westminster is ready for it or not, they are still trekking ahead with their plans to leave the Union. This is huge. What has it been, 350 or more years of a union? And they are ready to walk. And that would not have happened but for the Brexit vote. Brexit is what caused this to happen, because for what's left, the people of Scotland feel like they are getting the short end of the stick. Yeah, but it's a good thing that there's a sovereign, because having a sovereign protects us from things like this, is what people says. If we had a president, wow, we we don't want to have the problems that the rest of the world has. At least we have a monarch who can't intervene even if they wanted to. So good luck, everybody. Good luck. I just really hate that this impacts people that already are struggling, but it's a very sad situation. And again, if not for Brexit, Scotland probably would not have left, but or choose or would not have this referendum coming up. And it's not even a referendum; it's a national election, and they are going to use that election in Scotland if the NSP wins. I think is how it goes. If the NSP secures the most votes, that means that that is going to be considered a referendum. They just said we're not going to, if the Westminster won't let us have a referendum, then we will use our next national election as a referendum. And if the NSP wins, then that means it is a de facto referendum to leave. Okay, now trigger alert, trigger alert, trigger alert. Danielle Guzmarali, is that right? Guzmarali. The newspapers, let me see, the newspaper's Europe correspondent quoted the social activist being deeply upset. The Sussexes used the late. Oh, okay. Anyway, this is the person who spoke to Nelson Mandela's granddaughter. Yes, I'm still talking about that. We finally have a face. We finally have a face to add to this story. Before that, we didn't have a face. And now that you see the face behind that hatchet job against the Sussexes, uh, allegedly twisting the words of Nelson Mandela's granddaughter, well, now you can understand where the vitriol comes from. Now you can understand where that very dark, sinister heart of a reporter beats. Now you can see it for yourself. Panther 325. Thank you so much for the super sticker, and thank you for watching Royal Sussex. Ah, bonsoir to you too, Gabby. Bonsoir. Let's see. There we go. Oh, perfect. Yeah. So now you can see where it comes from. I tell you, everybody who seems to have jealousy and hostility toward the Sussexes, they all seem to have a certain look about them. Now, apparently, the photos that you see, three photos on the upper right, this was her trying to remove her freckles. She found her freckles unappealing, and so she was trying to do that. Oh, I'm so brave and secure. I'm going to go on the Daily Mail and show them how I am improving myself. And so, as you know, Meghan, who is a person that is very secure about herself, who never saw herself as so beautiful growing up, said that my freckles are mine, and I prefer to showcase them and highlight them as part of who I am. And she doesn't allow for her freckles to be airbrushed or removed or altered. Whereas here, you can see someone who is very actively trying to get rid of something that she finds unappealing. So anyway, this was like one of the only photos I could find of her, of course. But yeah, so so this is the reporter from I think she's works for News Corp, and they were the ones who started all that stuff with the granddaughter. Now, here's another photo of her. Oh, she's a real attention seeker. But again, that's her name right there. You can look her up if you want to. Danielle Guzmarali. And she's the one who started all that stuff with. You thought it was a mugshot? No, she was doing it was an article about her wanting her freckles removed. And this was the only other photo I could find. So this was very interesting. This came out over the weekend. So as you can see, the polls taken in the United States are very different from those YouGov polls. Opinion of Meghan Markle, I'm sorry, of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Survey question: what is your current opinion of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle? So you can see right there. This let me see. Source exclusive poll for Variety Intelligence platform. Um, and yeah, so that one right there, again, for more data, visit VIP Plus. Take that with a grain of salt. Change of opinion after release of Netflix and Netflix's Harry and Meghan. Question: how has your opinion of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle changed, if at all, following the release of Harry and Meghan? Well, as you can see here, amongst the 18-year-olds, 54% says more favorable, 38% says no change at all, which of course doesn't mean that it is not more favorable than not. It just, the question is, has it changed? And 38% said no. And only, what is it? Whatever that is that's left says is unfavorable. But if you notice, the people who feel less favorable, having seen the documentary, that number is pretty small. And amongst 18 plus year old Black people, almost none at all. Even with whites, 18 plus, you can see that there was barely any change, which I think is extraordinary, is that there's so little change to the negative, um, should I say, after seeing the documentary. And if anything, it has improved people's point of view. God, I hope I'm looking at that right. Uh, and then discussed issues Black women face as a result of Meghan Markle's experience with royal family. And the question is, have you talked with someone about the issues Black women face in present day as a result of the challenges Meghan Markle had in the interactions with the royal family? So 18 plus, 19%, 18 to 34, 36%, 35 to 54, 17%, 55 and older, 8%. And then amongst Black and white, you can see that among Blacks is significant, is just about double than that of white people, which of course that shouldn't be a surprise either. And then over here on the other one, change in awareness of the challenges Black women face. Has Harry and Meghan's story made you more aware of the struggles that Black women have in modern society? Well, the 18 plus, you can see that's, I'm going from the bottom up, 51% with Blacks, and then 18 plus whites, 24%. Again, interesting that the number is double when it comes to Blacks. And then, of course, you can see the other numbers there. Again, a lot of the way people respond really depends on the question, because sometimes you just don't, if you ask a question a certain way, you're going to get a certain type of answer. That's the bottom line. So it really matters who's doing the survey and what type of questions that they are asking. So um, let me know what your thoughts are about those. And let me see here. Oh, okay. All right. Got it. Bonsoir, Charlotte. Thank you so much for being here. And then let's go on to this one. So, relationship between opinion of Sussexes and social awareness. As you can see, Favorable opinion of Meghan and Harry. Harry and Meghan's story has made you more aware of the struggle of Black women face in modern society. 70% have discussed issues Black women face as a result of challenges Meghan Markle faced with the royal family. And that is, let me see, is up 49%. And then, of course, neutral opinion, 22% and 13%. Favorable opinion of Harry and Meghan, plus 3%. And then, did that wrong. There we go. So anyway, if you want to see this for yourself, an exclusive poll for Variety Intelligence platform. There's a ton more information there, but I'm just thinking to myself that it actually, the polls, excuse me, seem to be much better when they're conducted in the United States as opposed to the UK. Let me see. My coworker, who is a staunch conservative, I saw her reading Spare, and I was thinking, well, that's surprising. Well, the book has such a huge impact. It's everywhere, and everybody's talking about it. And guys, I was thinking about that too. As much as we wince at the idea of hearing some of those nasty, negative jokes from Jimmy Kimmel, I think along with everything else, it has helped push the interest in the book. And plus, it's a bit of a drought for the late night talk shows. And I think Stephen Colbert is the best of all of them. And he's the only one who, consistently has a good audience and also the best guests. And they don't have so much of that on Jimmy Kimmel. Should we wonder why? Jimmy Kimmel is a bit of a nasty individual, personality wise, and so a lot of celebrities stray away from him for that reason because he is likely to turn against you, and make you the butt of the joke when you're just there to promote, let's say, your book. So that's a non-starter right there to even consider going on his show. And I think is part of the backlash of not going on his show is now you can see why there was like no way in the world Harry was going to go on that show. And I'm glad he didn't because he'd use it against you. But he is also helping to sell books. I do believe that. A lot of the people that are being super critical of the book, they're the ones who are helping to push the book because you have this contrast of people praising the book, even people who don't care about them or don't care about the royal family, and they're reading this book. And so when you have that kind of pushback from a nighttime talk show host, I think that it makes people more curious to want to actually read it. Now, I don't like depending on such humor for that, but that is one of the unintended consequences of that. If you can keep your food on your stomach listening to it, then that's the. But I never watched that show anyway. Stephen Colbert was about the only one that I watched anyway. So there you have it. Okay, now let me see. Stephen Colbert was the best to do the interview. Jimmy Kimmel would not have been able to do a balanced interview. No, he wouldn't, because he's so limited to very crude humor, and that's why when I said, was it yesterday, that I don't like so many comedians is because if someone is restricted to just doing very crude humor, to me it shows a lack of ability. I don't want to say lack of intellect, but a lack of ability, that your fallback position is very crude humor. And so recently, someone who was on Saturday Night Live did this big thing about the Martin Luther King sculpture, and of course, she went to the very crude humor. And as much as I like her, I was very disappointed because it was a big investment to get something like that created. And of course, if you're going to look for the odd angles to make fun of it, then sure. But I happen to like the sculpture. I get the idea. You walk into the embrace of the kings, and it's a beautiful thing. And of course, she, along with so many other people, turned it into something crude and disgusting. And as much as I love to make people laugh, as much as I love a good laugh myself, I don't really care for that kind of humor um, most days. Occasionally, yes, but most days I'm not on board with it. And so that was very disappointed with her with and of course she had it was pretty tacky, I thought. And now that you know what's his name is gone from the show, Trevor, I probably won't watch it anymore. But there you go. Just a little something about me that you may not know. I really, really am not a fan of the very crude humor. All right, right there. Now this was disappointing. This was disappointing. Meghan and Harry's popularity question by Laura Kunsberg, sidestepped by U.S. Ambassador. So, Ambassador Jane Hartley, who has raised a lot of money. Now, this may come as no surprise, but if you are not really into American politics, let me tell you something. If you raise enough money for, let's say, Joe Biden, Barack Obama, even Trump, if you raise enough money, and I do mean some stupid, serious money, then they will send you on a all expense paid vacation to Paris, which is where Ambassador Jane Hartley was for a couple years. Or they'll send you to Japan, like Carolyn Kennedy. That is just a little grace and favor from the President of the United States. Now, every president gets what they call a presidential handbook. I think they call it the blue book or purple book or something like that. Well, anyway, if you look up the presidential handbook, it's a book which every incumbent president gets, and it's like maybe, I want to say it's 4,000 positions in the executive branch of the government that you don't even need Congress to approve. You can just hire people. And of course, people who have been favorable to their campaign are the ones who will get that job. So, this person right here, she's in that position because she raised a lot of money for the Democrats. And a lot of money could be anywhere from 500,000 to 5 million. Have a party, such and such, invite people, everybody drops a check on the way out, and guess what? You may become the United States ambassador to London, or to the Court of St. James, as they call it. You become the Joseph P. Kennedy. When he was an ambassador, it was because he raised a lot of money. So that's how that works. And so she has been to France as the ambassador, and now she is the ambassador to the Court of St. James. And as such, guess who she's very cozy with? And probably have been for years anyway. But now she is very cozy to the new king and queen consort, or king and queen cohort. She's very close to them now. And so, how long she stays in that position, I suppose that is up to the president of the United States. But very rarely do they carry over to another administration. Everybody has their favorites, and so she's got another plum position, and she's doing well. Well, in this interview, and I don't have a soundbite for you, but in this interview, she dodged that part of it. But then she went on to regale everyone with how much we need to know about Charles III and the Prince's Trust and so on and so forth. Oh, now where you see her head kind of turning away like Kate, you see how her head is turning away there? She's looking down at the floor. Well, then in the big picture right there, that's when she decided to put on her game face and start talking about Charles III and the Prince's Trust. And I just think more Americans need to know about that. So essentially, she said, more Americans need to know more about the Prince's Trust and less about talking about the gossip with the royal family. So it was a good dodge. As long as she don't have anything negative to say about the Sussexes, I really don't care. If you want to promote the Princess Trust, you know what? I agree with her. The Princess Trust was a good thing. It was Charles using somebody else's money to do something good in this world. He's also taken in a lot of money and, in some cases, by the shopping bag full. So, no shade, no shade. I've been to Dumfries House, and guess who else has been to Dumfries House? Ambassador Jane Hartley. As a matter of fact, she even mentioned Dumfries House. Dumfries House is like a big paper bag full of money. It brings in a lot of money. And so people like Ambassador Hartley may find themselves a guest in a country house like Dumfries, where, and that's pretty smart on Charles's part. You keep people away from High Grove, your pride and joy, and you send them to Dumfries House, give them the 5-star treatment, and next thing you know, and I'm not saying Ambassador Hartley has given any money, but as I said earlier, the United States is still trying to hammer out a trade deal with Great Britain. Now, Ambassador Hartley has his plum position, but the trade deal can only go through if Joe Biden is on board with it. And Joe Biden, as well as Barack Obama, tried to tell them, don't do the Brexit. And Joe Biden, whose mother was the very feisty Irish woman she was, I don't know that Joe Biden is he's cordial, but he's certainly not kissing up to the crown. So this lady can schmooze all she wants to. It is the ultimate comeuppance to have this all expense paid trip and stay in the ambassador's home and have armed protection and all that kind of stuff. But the other part of it is you're really just a show horse. You are there to represent the United States at the court of St. James, and you were very smart not to mention Harry and Meghan. So enjoy your all expense paid vacation to the United Kingdom. Black Queen says a reporter questioned Malcolm Jamal Warner about Meg's character and her backlist and her blackness just because he worked briefly with her in Suits and his friend worked with Deal or No Deal. He said all good things. Oh, I'm so glad for that. I'm so glad for that. I am so glad. I'm also so glad that they didn't try to take what little he said and twist it into something else. Thank you for sharing that. I had no idea. Let me see. She did not answer the question, which was the right way to answer the question. She focused on Charles. Yeah, and that's what she's there for, is to keep good relations with the with Britain, and that's it. She did a good thing by keeping her mouth shut and staying on focus. So, and it was disgusting of the BBC to try to slip that in there like that. Ambassador Jane Hartley, aka Crypt Keeper, needs to mind her own business and see her way out of Harry and Meghan's biz. Thank you, Sherry Ware. And Marjorie says, but why would they ask the ambassador who may not even know the Sussexes? She could not speak for anyone as she lives abroad and so could not give a credible opinion. Yeah, Marjorie, but I don't think that matters. It's just, they want to get people on record. They love to get people on record to say certain things. And that's the whole idea of a presidential press conference, is to make sure that you got something on record. Got a new member. Now that's a record right there. Got a new member, Marvell Walker. Thank you for joining. Royal Sussex, thank you for being here. And also remember, the memberships are still a bargain at just $4.99. Just $4.99. And with that, you get a chance to use all those nifty stickers that come with your membership to Royal Sussex. But remember, you can only access those stickers if you are signing up for a membership through the YouTube. It does not include the Patreon. So thank you so much, Marvell Walker. There's no year's supply of turtle wax. This has not been a Mark Goodson or a Bill Totson production. Um, you won't get an Amana refrigerator or convection oven, but you do have the love and admiration of all of the Sussex squad. So thank you so much for that. God bless America. Rohini says ambassador also have diplomatic immunity, so they can't be prosecuted for any crime, even murder. So yeah, a plum job. That's true, Rohini. Ambassadors do have diplomatic immunity according to whatever treaty that the most nations have signed. So that means that she can. She's bulletproof. She's literally bulletproof. She cannot be charged for anything. And if you have a diplomatic pouch, okay, can we talk about that pouch? If you have a diplomatic pouch, whatever contents that you have inside, like let's say she goes to dinner at Buckingham Palace, right? And she goes into the butler's pantry and she takes her arm and rakes a whole bunch of gold plated flatware into her diplomatic pouch. Do you know she can go right through the airport and or whatever to her governmental plane and they can't do anything about it because she's an ambassador. So that is one of those things that comes with that very plum job. So thank you, Rohini. Let me see. Uh, okay. Black Queen, I'm so glad I caught myself because I possibly. I mean, could you imagine that you're up at Dumfries' house and you're hanging out with Charles and Camilla, and then Camilla is like, "Oh, I got to go to the powder room. Come on, girl, come with me." And then she says, um, uh, "Your Majesty, how do you get your skin so?" Oh, well, and then she pulls out some type of jar of an ancient elixir or salve or something like that, and she just hands it to her. Yes, it's called crack leak. It's called crack leak. If you want your skin to look like an old billfold that washed into the gutter and then dried in the hot blazing sun, use crack neek. Oh man. Anyway, what's that? Maybe it's CoverGirl. Maybe it's Camilla's special blend of sulfur and bile. Woo! Oh man. Okay, the king and queen Maxima and the princesses, I think, or is it just a princess? Maybe it's just one of the princesses. The princess of Orange will visit the Caribbean part of the kingdom from Friday the 27th, which means they're there already, to Friday 27 January to Thursday 9 February 2023. They visit Bonaire, Aruba, and Caracal, St. Martin, what is that? Whatever it is. U- okay, and Sabah. That's where they're going. So they're there already. And one thing I love about that family is they know how to turn it up. Whenever the House of Orange is in town, you know they are going to have a good time. So um, they are there to learn and to see and to do and such. Um, so yeah, let me see. Uh-oh, is that it? No. Oh, I wanted to show you an example of them having a good time, but I don't find it handy, so never mind. I don't remember how I labeled that one. Oh well, I did make a video about them some time ago, but yeah, when they show up, they show out. They are a fun family, and the King of the Netherlands, he's requested, I think it was a 3 year thing to figure out what the exact role that the Netherlands have had on the slave trade and how they have what do you call it? How they have profited from it. So he's trying to do the right thing, and for that, I am going to say good job. Of course, I don't know a whole lot about him, but so far so good. And he seems like a really nice guy. And of course, oh, there it is. There it is. I found it. I found it. Okay, so we can see how they, as the young people say, they turn it up. Okay, there you go. You can see how they can turn it up. But yeah, so in the future, we're gonna keep an eye out and see exactly how it's going. One of the things that they've done is they have retired their golden coach or carriage or coach. Anyway, it had these ornate panels that included images from their empire, which of course was never as large as the British Empire, but just as awful. Um, going to other countries, stripping wealth, indigenous populations were massacred or suffered from diseases and such. And so he said until we can sort some things out, that carriage will not be used. So he retired it. And I'm trying to think if they took it from display in the museum or not. I can't recall, but so it's small steps, and of course, he is the king, but he still has his constituency. So at least they're having a conversation, and like I say, small steps. So the House of Orange, as per usual, they know how to party, and I think Queen Maxima is beautiful. How regal is she, huh? Queen Maxima. There she is in red. That's the mom, of course. And also, may I say, They are some big bones. They got big bones. They got some big bones. Um, yeah, that's all I'll say is they got some big bones. But um, yeah, she wears. Don't she wear those capes? Right? But yeah, it's like, hey everybody, hey, huh? The House of Orange is here. What? Yes, the House of Orange. All right, turn it up. Turn it up. Turn it up. All right, y'all. The oranges are here. The House of Orange. Turn it up. Okay. So anyway, that is what's going on with them. Now let's get to Lazy Kate and Lazy Will. The two of the laziest individuals this side of creation. I mean, lazy. What a big difference is that? You have the House of Orange going down there, um, going to the other parts of their kingdom and everything. Good time to be had by all, etc., etc. Um, I didn't see anything about protesters, stuff like that, but of course it wouldn't be on their website, would it? But you have these two who turned the clock back to the 1950s. They literally tried to go and capture the spirit of the grandparents, the Queen and Philip, and it really backfired in the most epic way. Now, here they are calling her Catherine, says early childhood is a key to adult life. Duh. Uh, you know that William always wanted for the press to refer to her as Catherine. He never liked the use of Kate. I believe William has only ever said Catherine. Catherine. And so to use Kate was somewhat a no no for him. And he didn't like for the press to do it either. And so, as you can see, I'm not surprised that as they move closer and closer to the big prize, that they prefer Catherine, Queen Catherine. And so, here are some responses to the BBC. Breathing is a key to staying alive. In other news, water is wet. Indeed, surviving early childhood is essential to adulthood. And then, of course, historically, it has always been wise to get your children in early. And then, of course, none of us remember the first 5 years. So, what is this based on? And then, of course, she's right. I myself was born at a very young age. Woo! And you guys, I did cover up the other information, but these are not squatties. These are just people that are sick of it. Do you hear me? Sick! They're sick of it. And it continues. Wait, it gets better. Phenomenal. Childhood being key to adulthood. Wow, who'd have thought? Cheers, Kate. Just phenomenal. Arguably essential. What a revelation. I'm impressed. Marrying into a wealthy family is a good plan too. Well, most people that I've noticed seem to start there. Woo! And of course, as opposed to late childhood, yes, it's definitely advisable to have children before adult life. And then, of course, we go into the home stretch. How enlightening. Thank God for this woman. I was in the dark all these years. Thank God for this woman. Thank God. Um, she is going to call out the Tories for supporting Sure Start? Question mark. I'm sorry. So she is going to call out the Tories for stopping Sure Start. And then finally, I'm planning my childhood in my 80s. Nappies, feeds, sleeping most of the time. Thank God for this woman. Oh, what a friend we have in Katie. All our sins and griefs we share. What what a friend we have in Catherine. All our sins and griefs we bear. Oh man. And to just think, this is the same child expert whose own child was literally wringing her neck in front of everybody at the Queen's Jubilee, but that never stopped her from calling herself an expert on child care development. And this is the big rollout, you guys. So this is the big rollout for the child care development. So we're going to be seeing more of her grinning and grinning and grinning and hand jiving and all the rest of the stuff. Mary H says, oh, I'm sorry, there it is. Mary H says, saying Catherine to make Kate Middleton look more motherly, other than Princess of Wales. Yeah, exactly. It's just a ploy to make it seem like she's more, grown up and informed and stuff. Okay, Kate Middleton, the Duchess of Cambridge, asks, can you test the smell by smelling it? You guys, I kid you not. I kid you not. And when she said it, she mumbled through it. Can you test the smell by smelling it? Kate has zero conversation skills. She has not learned a thing from all. Let me see. Let me do that again. All right. Oh, there we go. From all her years of keen learning, she has not learned a thing. She literally asked this woman, can you test it by smelling it? Now, I believe that these are teas or herbs or something like that. I believe it's a tea counter. And she was asking if you can test the tea by smelling it. Can you test the tea by smelling it? Has anybody ever been able to test a tea by smelling it? Huh? Now, this may be a little difficult to hear, but I'm going to try to play that sound bite for you. Again, it may be kind of difficult to hear, but of course, the question that she asked, she did mumble it. It wasn't a straight out question. It was accompanied with a lot of mumbling and hand gestures. And so, to be as shady as possible, because I'm very much in that mood right now, I am going to try my best to play it for you. And I hope you're able to hear it. What a friend we have in Katie. All our sins and griefs we bear. What a privilege of mumbling all our mumbles in. Can you test the smell by smell? Now, I'm not surprised if you couldn't make that out, but she said, can you test it by smelling it? But it's hard to hear with all the background noise. And of course, she was mumbling. She said, but can you test it? I'm not kidding. That's what she said. Can you test it by smelling it? And I mean to tell you, it was that. If I wasn't looking, I would think it was that kid from that video. If I wasn't looking, I would swear that it was that little child from that video. She sounded just like him. Whoever put that together. Well, anyway, here we go.
People who aren't necessarily reaching out, who are struggling, who perhaps don't feel they can reach out, or the fact that maybe they haven't realised that addictive behaviours have sort of established.
Have you ever had a dream that that you had you could do so you want him to do you so much you could do anything. Have you ever had a dream that you want him to do you so much you could do anything?
Oh, Black Queen, I see you got jokes today. Delete, that's all, folks. Woo! Oh, Lord. But I promise you, that's exactly what she said. Can Now, when I was a kid, the way we used to solve that problem is you would have to put a penny on the style. You know what I mean? If your records kept skipping, sometimes if you put a little penny on the back of the style, that'll help to hold the needle on the record. So maybe somebody should, I don't know, put a penny on her head or on her shoulder or something, and maybe that'll help her. Maybe. Woo! And maybe beep. And of course, look at how attentive everybody is looking. It's like instinctively, you have to watch her mouth, because if you depend on hearing the words, you may not hear it. So you have to try to lip read if you can. You have to watch her mouth to see if you can actually pick up the words that are coming out of her mouth. Can you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Nope. Oh man, Rohini says, why you so messy today? I prayed this morning. Now Jesus is mad. I'm sorry, Lord. Please forgive me. Oh no, I didn't mess up your prayers. Compton Caligal says, Baron, they had to use the best footage they had for Kate. I can only imagine what was on the other footage. You got that right. And boy, I tell you, this must be a lot of work for the people that work for the Cambridges to try to create this illusion that she's the sharpest tool in the shed. That is a lot of work. A lot of work. And of course, William. He's a good egg, right? Not. But I'm pretty sure William has to take a back seat this week while Kate tries to do the second coming of Princess Diana. She is trying to channel Diana's good works by, going around with all this childcare stuff. She doesn't have the energy or the stamina to keep this up. I'm telling you guys, she is fading fast. She's putting on a good act for this week, but when nobody's looking, she's going to crawl right back into despair, and you're not going to see or hear from her for, I don't know, about 30 to 45, maybe 90 days, something like that, 30, 60, 90 days. You're not going to hear from her. She is going to retreat into something, and we won't know where she is. And of course, the press won't mention it. You notice the press never says, where's Kate? They don't want to know where she is, or should I say they don't want to report where she is, but she can't keep this up. The strain of it is wearing all over her face. This is just a little smoke and mirrors for the keening season. And when she get a chance to, they're going to end up taking one of their private jets on vacation, and you're not going to see her for a while. So enjoy the keening season. There's good material at this time of year. Now, this guy right here, David Lamy is his name, and he was on the LBC. Now that I do have a sound bite. let me see if I can make this work. Last time it did not work out so well, but I'm going to try it again this time. I had to do like a reboot of my PC, and if not, then I'll try it another way. But if you can't hear it, don't panic. I'll see if I can get up the soundbite another way.
So, is that, seen from the wide perspective of history, the British Empire was by far the biggest thing Britain ever did. It's a massive, enormous, complex topic. What happened in the empire varied. I mean, for a lot of it, for example, it was run by private companies, like the East India Company. It wasn't actually the state which ran the empire, and it was run for profit. Just in the same way that Google or Facebook or any of these big multinational corporations today works. But in those days, it conquered territory and ran it for profit. Now, this whole enormous subject, embracing most of the globe over 300 years, is barely touched on in the British history curriculum. And where it is touched on, it's given an incredibly rose-tinted and very brief look. We give ourselves a great pat on the back for emancipating the slaves. We in that list you just said out, we're bringing education, effectively civilization to the globe. Most British people simply don't know that we wipe out the entire Caribs from the Caribbean, the Tasmanian Aborigines from Tasmania, that we ship, however many hundreds of thousands of black African slaves in chains across the Middle Passage to repopulate the Caribbean, which we've just wiped out the indigenous Caribs. They don't know that the British in India, under this for-profit corporation, commit war crimes that, are as gruesome as anything in history. In the aftermath of the 1857 uprising, hundreds of thousands of innocent civilians are wiped out. Any male over the age of 16 is considered a just target. And this stuff is stuff that people elsewhere know. So, the Irish know the story of the potato famine very, very well, but we don't really. We're given, again, a very rose-tinted version. The people in the Caribbean know the story of the slave trade and all the other shenanigans that went there with the indigenous Caribs. We don't know that. In India, I've lived here 30 years. Brits turn up every day in this country, imagining the Indians love us and that they're incredibly grateful for us giving civilization, as we're taught in our textbooks, not realizing that there's huge anger about Britain's destruction of state after state in this region, and then taking a country which, when the British arrived, controlled about a quarter of world trade and reducing it to under 10%, while the Brits at the same time expand from 6% of world trade to 40%. So we've asset stripped, we've looted, we've pillaged, and we just don't know this stuff. And even if you want to quibble some of it, and there are many people listening who will have a much more positive view of empire than I've done and come to in my research, even if you believe that there are positive aspects, you've got to be able to argue this and know the other side of the equation, as other people do. When you go to India, people will charge you with Jallianwala Bagh and the details of our looting of the country. But the Brits just don't know this. And it's not just ordinary people in the street. I mean, genuinely, week after week, British diplomats, high commissioners even, that have come out with first-class degrees from leading universities and just don't know the details of this history.
Okay, so that was on the LBC, and very, very interesting what he was saying. And it's very much like the critical race theory. There's a lot of these things that they don't want to teach because through ignorance, they hope over time that this stuff will be forgotten. And of course, nobody wants to pay reparations. Reparations were for the slave owners, for the slave holders, not for the enslaved. The enslaved were given the option to either stay and work as a sharecropper or whatever, or you can try to go out and fend for yourself, but you definitely won't have access to the best possible land for agriculture. You won't have the ability to trade or resources. Like right now, the United States, we don't like to think that the U.S. is an empire, but do you know that even today, people in Puerto Rico are not allowed to trade independent of the United States Customs. And so things that go to Puerto Rico, which is a protectorate, not a state, but a protectorate of the United States, they do have their own governor, they have their own government, but they also have to pay more for certain goods that are brought to Puerto Rico because it has to be taxed and such by the United States and go through our customs and everything. If there's a tariff that the United States is enforcing, then Puerto Ricans have to do business through those tariffs. So that is like a remnant of that type of empire. So yeah, it's a lot of stuff like that that are remnants of that. Like for instance, the one that really makes me very sad is Haiti consistently being the poorest nation in the Western Hemisphere. But a lot of people don't know how, because of the policies of the French and the Americans and even the British, that the Haitians were made to pay back a debt for their freedom, and with the agreement that France would never attack them again, for the agreement that France would, I suppose, give them some kind of protection from anybody else coming after them. They had to agree to pay back the debt to the people who owned property, the French white people that owned property in Haiti. They had to pay for that. That they had to pay reparations to the slaveholders, which is what has kept Haiti perpetually poor, for decades. Well, for over a century, they have been kept. And you would think that Haiti's seeking their independence, just like the original 13 colonies were able to seek their independence from Britain. You would think that the United States would be like, oh, you know what? We got your back, boo. No, the United States decided to side with their oldest ally, the French. The British are not the oldest ally of the United States. It is the French. The French are the ones who went broke trying to defeat the British in the American Revolution. So it was kind of like a war by proxy, but the French were the ones who received a debt, a payment, that is, for Haiti's freedom, which has only, recently ever been paid off. And so that is what's kept them poor. So it's a lot of stuff that the United States is just as guilty of, but you don't really see these things taught in school because they don't want people to know. They want us to always seem like the guys in the white hat, the good guys that come rolling in without any ulterior motives or without any, deliberate gains made from things. But during the Second World War, the United States soldiers looted the enemy and took whatever they wanted to. There's all kind of things, all kind of stuff that pops up in auctions and estate sales all over the United States, missing artworks and such that come from the Second World War. So they weren't just there, bringing freedom. They were also taking booty. They took whatever they wanted. And of course, I would say the one good thing that the United States did was the Marshall Plan. By creating economic stability with the Marshall Plan, they were able to pretty much save Western Europe, but it also gave the United States the ability to become the world's next superpower. And so Britain out, US in. That was the policy. And so even when Churchill Churchill thought that he was such good friends with Roosevelt, right? And Churchill thought that Britain would be able to keep their empire. And Roosevelt said, nah, those days are over with. There will be no more empire. Oh man, we didn't go through all of this so that we could be second place. No. And so that's what happened. Yeah, essentially, the United States leveraged this weight, but it wasn't just a matter of us going in there to save Europe or to save white people or something like that. The United States came out on top, and that was the whole point of it. We invested in you, and we intend to get paid in full and then some. So that's exactly what happened. So yeah, there are no clean hands in international relations. KDV, thank you so much for the super sticker, and thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex. Let me see here. Let's see. Just wait. Karma will come when she has to pretend to smile while hugging black children. She will pass out from rage and exhaustion. Diana was authentic. Mumbles is not pure fake. Yeah, yeah. She's already, look, stick a fork in her. She's done. She's exhausted. She can only maintain this for so long, and she's on the verge of collapse. Black Queen says now the French are upset because citizens of black countries are colonized. I mean, they colonized, are immigrating to France. Of course, of course. Um, but it's the new reality. I mean, the you it's what happened to the Roman Empire. The Romans brought people into Rome, right? And there was really um, not much difference between one person or the next. Anyone could be a slave, and so you had the chance to like melt into society, and anyone could be a slave owner, and that was the way it was in Rome. And eventually, the Romans looked up and realized, wait a minute, most of these people were not even born here. And before you know it, the Roman Empire collapsed, and then other countries, the Ottomans, Turks, and such began to flourish. So every great empire will fail. The United States at some point will cease to be the superpower that it is today. Just ask China. They will cease to be the superpower that it is today. The United States spends more on its military and has more military bases than anybody else in the world. And so you can't say this is not an empire. Part of an empire is having military outposts all over the place. And the United States makes plenty money from just being the United States. And that's why I say there's no trade deal that has been finalized between Britain and the United States. The United States is not just going to be like, oh, well, you're the motherland. And no, they're not going to give them a easy pat on the back and keep it moving, because China is, maybe the biggest economy in the world, maybe the second biggest economy in the world, but either way, it's still big. And so that's who everybody has to deal with. And then, of course, India's economy is growing, has actually surpassed the United Kingdom. So we have to deal with India. So every day, the United Kingdom, since Brexit, has been in a downward spiral, and it was all avoidable. And they can get it back, but it's going to take time. It's going to take probably 20 years to get back into a strong position that they were in prior to Brexit. Taking something that's absolutely not even broke, and then you just smash the heck out of it and think that everything is going to be okay. There was no plan. There was no plan. It was there. Nobody knew what was going to happen. It was win for the sake of winning. And the people who pushed the Brexit have enriched themselves in a way that you cannot even calculate. And the rest of the people in the UK have to pay the price for it. Oh, that is mental. Speaking of mental, let me get her off the screen. Unless Speaking of mental, what about that one? Woo! Every time I see this picture, I see something else. I see something else. Mary H says, my son was telling me about that. Oh, I'm sorry, about that. How on earth did we let people do this to us? And it hasn't changed. We haven't changed either to stop this from repeating. Thank you, Mary H. Okay. So let me get back to Nelson Mandela's granddaughter. Nelson Mandela's granddaughter and other people News Corp may have misquoted. Um, oh, you know what? This was supposed to be earlier, but somehow I put a space in between this and what I had earlier. But yeah, so I think we talked about this already. But yeah, anyway, girls, stop talking to them. All right. And then there's this guy, Paul Burrell. Paul Burrell. Burrell. It's unfortunate that he's having problems in his nether regions, and I feel for him. And you know, it's too bad. But he said something on the Lorraine show. He said, well, I've always defended them. Have you really? Now, to be fair, I did try to go and find something I may have had where he was being antagonistic and rude and you know with Harry and Meghan. Could not find anything, but I know, and even with that, this idea that you just don't know him anymore and he's changed. I mean, you are still making it against Meghan when you say that by saying, "Oh, I don't recognize him anymore, and he's changed, and something is different." And since he moved to California, that is a dog whistle. That's all code. It's Meghan's fault. I mean, really, that's what it is. So I'm not going to, pretend like that's not a thing. And then, of course, he was telling Lorraine how the Queen practically raised him. He always finds some way to make himself more important than anybody else in the story. And Lorraine was like, and what do you think about Harry and Meghan? And where is Russell Myers? um, you know what? God bless him. I hope the best for him. But yeah, slime. Thank you so much. Thank you, cookies and cream. Slimy opportunist. He's a slimy opportunist. He swore he wasn't going to write a book about Diana. Then he ends up writing a book about Diana. But what really bothers him is that Harry referred to him as Mummy's butler. He was upset because Harry didn't make the book about him, that Harry didn't give him a more prominent role in the book. And he is furious. Woo! I mean, he's hot about that. How dare Harry not mention me? He is upset because, yeah, there you go. Paul Burrell is upset that Harry referred to him as Mummy's butler instead of calling him by his name. And he's upset about that. He knows my name. My name is Paul. I've known him since he was in his mummy's tummy. Oh, he was irate, honey. Ooh, he was hot. He was hot. And then he says, wait for it, you guys. Wait for it. Wait. Just wait. I'm going to tell you, wait. Wait. Okay, here goes. He said that Harry's book is causing him, did he say stress and anxiety? He said that Harry's book has hurt him and that he is suffering from, I'm surprised he didn't say PTSD, but he's suffering because of Harry's book. Harry's book has caused him pain and anxiety. So apparently, that is something that keeps him up at night because, um, Harry did not give some big chapter. Uh, you know, he didn't name a chapter Paul Barrow, Mommy's Butler, or Paul, my friend Paul, Peter, Paul, and Mary. He didn't. he didn't. He didn't make the book. He didn't make the book about Paul Barrow. So now he's gotten his knickers in a twist. Now he's got his panties in a bunch, or somebody else's panties that he may have taken out of Kensington Palace. But now he's got his panties in a bunch because Harry hasn't devoted an entire chapter to the story of Paul. Judy Matza said, thank you so much for the super sticker, and thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex. Happy Monday to you. Yeah, so Paul Burrow is upset. I told you it was a good one. I told you it was a good one. He is beside himself because Harry did not give him more of a prominent role in the book. And I bet he was sitting up there reading that book and up all night and everything and drinking wine and everything, just ready to get to the part where he was so important in Harry's life. Nothing. And I'm going to tell you guys, I did not even think of Paul Barrow at all when I went through the book. There was no point when I said, wait a minute, what about Mummy's butler? Nothing. I did not think about him. He did not exist. Such is the power of Harry. He did not even exist. There was at no point when I thought, wait a minute, somebody's missing. I didn't. He could have been there or not, and he wasn't, and so I didn't miss him. And he is bothered because he doesn't have the ability to make the rounds to talk about Harry's book. And of course, some of the media outlets have been cross with him because that video popped up of him dragging the rest of the family for being lazy, like the story about the paper that fell to the floor and he was summoned to come upstairs and pick it up and put it in the garbage can. Well, I'm going to tell you guys, being a Paul Burrell was a pretty cushy job. It wasn't like you worked from sun up to sundown. It wasn't like real labor. It was pretty much a grace and favor apartment at Kensington Palace, which he had to leave, and among other things. But he had it pretty easy. So it for an 18-year-old kid just coming out, or getting out. Coming out came later. But oh yeah, by the way, he claimed that the Queen told him that he should marry and have children. Now he thinks that's a compliment. The Queen the Queen probably just didn't want him. Well, okay, I won't say what I think, but the Queen was just like, why don't you get married and have children? That was not a compliment, freak. That was not a compliment. She was telling you that because she was trying. She got tired of people like you all over Buckingham Palace. So she was like, why don't you get married and start a Anyway, I'm just saying that was not exactly a compliment. He makes it seem like she was invested in his future, but she about tired of people like you and people like you working for the Queen Mother. The Queen Mother had a house full of people like Paul. And so you know what I'm saying? The Queen was about sick of people like that. And so she was like, yeah, mate, why don't you get married and have some children and stop that other stuff? Well, that didn't last long. Poor Paul. So, um, he, I think he said his kids were living in the United States, and he went and told them about his situation in his nether regions, and I thought about it. I'm like, wait a minute, his kids are grown. So all of these books and all of these TV shows and stuff. I mean, if those kids are in the U.S., he probably is subsidizing their education or whatever. So he's got bills to pay. No wonder he needs to be in Harry's book, because if he was in Harry's book, oh, he could have made a lot of money. But the only place where he could go and, speak about not being in Harry's book was Lorraine's show. Lorraine was the only person who cared to hear his story. So he had to go to Lorraine. And so whilst he was there talking to Lorraine, then he decided to mention the other stuff. So this guy has been getting over for years, and everything he's earned since Princess Diana died tragically and mysteriously in Paris is because of Princess Diana. It's not that he's actually cashed in on his own celebrity. It's still Diana. It's always about Diana. And now he wants to have Harry carry that for him. Do you guys know that he tried to crash Meghan and Harry's wedding? He and his partner tried to crash the wedding. He literally showed up at Windsor Castle. He probably said, "Watch this." You know how they say, what is the last few words that people say before they end up in the emergency room or before they end up talking to a nurse? Is "watch this and hold my beer." So he chose "watch this." And he ended up going to the gate with his partner, told his partner, "Watch this." And they, stopped him right there at Windsor Castle. You don't work here no more. You do not work here anymore. And then they probably looked his partner up and down and said, "I thought the Queen told you." and you and you don't follow the Queen's direction. Get out of here and take your partner with you. So, oh Lord. Oh man. Okay, you guys, I am being extra messy today, but you get what I'm saying. He he showed up with his partner at Windsor Castle like he had some kind of weight to throw around, like he was so important. Like, I mean, well, for sure, you're not gonna forget that face. But number one, you don't have an invitation, and number two, you did not follow the Queen's instructions. So no, you cannot come. So that's Paul Burrell. Oh man, it's robbing me of my testosterone. Paul Burrell, 64, confirms life-changing prostate cancer diagnosis after hitting back at Prince Harry over controversial memoir. Cha-ching. Hear me? Cha-ching. He went on there to talk about his nether regions and made it about Harry and Meghan. I tell you what, if I was the Sussexes and I woke up this morning, and if somebody would have told me that they were going to go on Lorraine's show instead of Russell Myers to talk about their nether regions and made it about me and my wife, I wouldn't have believed it. But that's exactly what happened. He went on Lorraine to talk about his situation and made it about Harry and Meghan. Cha-ching. I'm about sick of him. Anyway, happy birthday, Oprah Winfrey. January the 29th, I don't know how I missed it, but January the 29th was Oprah Winfrey's birthday, and she turned it up for her birthday. Looked like a big celebration, fun to be had by all, but Happy birthday to the queen of talk shows, to a philanthropist, a businesswoman, entrepreneur, etc., lifestyle guru. Happy birthday. Oh, many happy returns of the day. Now, this may surprise you. Uh, let me see. Do you want to be? I mean, Baron, do you want to get? Oh, Sonia Johnson, I saw that. This may surprise you, but I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Um, Surprisingly, the Daily Mail decided to make an issue out of Charles flying 100 miles and X amount of times in his helicopter. He's a head of state, right? Right? He's the head of state. Heads of state tend to fly everywhere. Heads of state do not wait in traffic. He's a head of state now, right? So I don't care. I don't care. Do whatever you need to do. You're the head of state, so you can fly wherever you want to fly. That's the deal. I don't care when Biden does it. I don't care when Putin does it. I don't care when anybody does it. If you're a head of state, then in my book, you get a free pass. Do whatever you need to do, boo. You forgot your cufflinks at home? Power up the helicopter, fly home and get it. That's what comes with being a head of state. I'm surprised they even bother. I really don't care. Yes, he talks about the environment and stuff like that. He's the head of state, and that's what comes with that. So I don't care. Burn up all the fuel you want to burn. Go back and forth to High Grove, Dumfries, Balmoral, whatever the case is, and do you, boo, enjoy yourself. It's a non-story, and I don't care. Now, when you had the Queen, Charles, and William all flying all over the place, well, that's the issue. Now, William is, the heir to the throne. He's the Prince of Wales. He don't need to fly everywhere. The Prime Minister and the sovereign should be the ones with those conveniences. But William, not so much. He still shouldn't in my book, but I don't care. So, Prince Andrew's bid for return to public life after Jeremy Epstein scandal is no more than wishful thinking, and his hopes for a way back are way off the mark, source says. Of course, there's a source, meaning Camilla, Camilla. I don't know who the source is. Prince Andrew's attempt to restore his reputation with an eye on returning to public life are wishful thinking. A well-placed source has told, y'all stop playing. Stop playing a well-placed source. Why don't you just say who that well-placed source is? Camilla. Oh, man. Excuse me. I got to get that checked out. And then right here, King Charles may be about to break his silence on Prince Harry as he prepares to do a landmark BBC interview. Of course he is. Now, when they said landmark BBC interview, they made they speculated John Dimbleby. John Dimbleby is the one who wrote the book about the Prince of Wales. And didn't he do an interview with him before? Well, anyway, he's the right man for it. He is likely to be the one to do the interview. He is going to do an interview. And you know what, guys? You might as well be prepared. I don't like to lie. So I'm going to just tell you, it is going to be a great interview. A lot of people don't want him to do it. And Lorraine, the one who always has the rest of my ass, Lorraine said, oh, I don't want him to do it. I don't think he ought to do it. Lorraine, she told Russell Myers he just should not do it. again, he is going to do it, I'm sure, and he's going to be brilliant. Charles has been at this for a long time, and he knows how to do a few of those, my darling boy. Once he throws a few darling boys in there, and then he'll say something about the Prince's Trust, and then he'll say about something being irreconcilable and such, he's going to do just fine. It is going to do nothing but help him. It is not going to be like his dim-witted brother who couldn't think of nothing better than it is not going to be like his dim-witted brother who was so stupid to sit up there and say, "Oh, one peculiar thing is, yeah, see, that would be rather unlikely as I'm unable to sweat." You big stupid fool. It was a car wreck interview, to put it politely. Charles is not his brother. Charles is a little more savvy when it comes to the media than his brother. So I'm just warning you guys, he is likely to do an interview and it is going to be brilliant. He is not going to sit up there and start talking about he can't sweat. Charles has a power word, a go-to word, and that is my darling boy. I love Meghan and Harry. I'm so happy that they're safe and happy in California. He is going to say whatever he needs to say. He's not going to make it about himself. That's the whole point. He is going to make it about other people. Whereas this person had the nerves to sit up there and talk about, I don't sweat. Oh, uh-uh. Stupid. Oh, Lord. Yeah, so brace yourself, guys. It is coming. It is going to be a good interview, and Charles is going to make his case, and everybody is going to feel sympathy for him, and case closed. Next, also, may I point out to you guys that this was the day that Charles I lost about 10 pounds from the neck up. Charles I lost about 10 pounds from the neck up. Let me see here. Black Queen said the interview will be great if he apologized to his son and daughter-in-law for the evil his side piece, and the other son and other daughter-in-law have done to them. Yeah, I wouldn't bet the farm on that, but he's going to do what needs to be done. Trust and believe. He's going to go in there and do what needs to be done. Charles is a survivor. Baron, I believe in the power of prayer, and will be praying that Charlie shows his true nature in the interview if it happens. Oh, you mean you mean you hope somebody hands him an exploding pin? You mean you hope somebody hands him an exploding pin? Or you hope somebody say, Charles, why must we pay for your parades when we're trying to heat our homes? Unless that happens, and trust me, in the controlled environment of an interview, nobody is going to hand. I cannot think about that without laughing, but nobody is going to hand him an exploding pin, and nobody is going to ask them about heating their home. So he'll be safe. But I tell you what, if 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 you could slip an exploding pin on the table, if you could slip an exploding pin on the table, he might lose it. So unless you could arrange for that, um, like I say, yeah, and softball, yeah, thank you, Mo Shannon. He's probably gonna get softball questions anyway. That's why I said it's not gonna be like the other one. This is like uh, they're not gonna bring up anything important. He's the king. They're not gonna do that. Yeah, it's going to be so different from his brother. His brother had too much on the line, but this is, oh, my darling boy, and I love Megan and my darling boy. He's going to throw a few of those in there, and it won't be nothing you could do. He's going to make himself look like the doting father who just wants the best for his family. I mean, he's an old player at this game. Oh man, he's an old player at this game. So I don't expect anything what you call it, anything unscripted to happen. Um oh man. Yeah, that old hustler, he got this down to a science. Okay, so as I said, Charles the First ran into a spot of bother. What? How many years ago was that? 400 and was it 400 or 300 years ago? Anyway, he ran into what one might call a spot of bother. Charles the First was being very capricious and somewhat arrogant with his powers as king, and so the people of Britain took an exception to it, or the people of England, they took a little exception to it. And so on this day, 30 January 1649, Charles I was executed outside the banqueting house, Whitehall, in London for treason and other high crimes. I wonder if anybody handed him a bag of cash. Charles behaved with great dignity before being beheaded with a single blow of the axe by an anonymous executioner. Uh, oh man. So I've heard this story a million times. They said that Charles I wore an additional dressing shirt or dressing gown shirt or whatever. He wore something else because he wanted to make sure on that January day that he wasn't quivering and shaking from the chill. So he wanted to wear another layer of clothing to make sure that he looked very dignified at all time. And so even with that, they took him out to the, scaffolding. Well, the gallows, well, not a gallows because that's for hanging, but they took him to a elevated platform and chop one single blow, and his head was in a basket. And so that was what happened to Charles I. So every King Charles has had some issues. Like, for instance, Charles II, well, let me see. He ruled during the plague and the Great Fire of London. And so Charles III, who knows what's going to happen to him? So you had one Charles that was beheaded, the other lived through a plague and the Great Fire of London. And then, of course, obviously that was what, 1666. And then, of course, this Charles, who, well, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. This is the Charles that's probably going to end up losing Scotland, that's for sure, and probably Northern Ireland. So that is Charles looking at his phone or looking at someone's phone and then reminding him, hey, bruh, you know what happened to Charles I, right? Oh, God, I hope they used a real stainless steel axe on his head, not some rusty chunk of metal. Camilla, do you think they used stainless steel? So that is probably what he'll think of. He won't even recognize the fact that the poor man lost his head. But if you need to lose about 10 pounds really fast, then, do the Charles I diet. And then right here, the king rejects the cut price coronation in favor of a glorious pomp and pageantry. Well, again, if he takes any cues from the other King Charles I and II, then he would know that he is on a collision course with history, but nobody could tell him that. So let's just wait and see what happens. Laurie says Charles is going to pretend to be the loving, understanding father who is handing the olive branch to Harry. So if Harry does not show up at the coronation, Charles would be like, you see? Wait, you see? Camilla, you see? I tried, Camilla. You see, I tried. I tried to. Oh my God, Camilla, I tried. I even offered him a double-breasted suit. Yeah, exactly, Laurie. That's exactly what's going to happen. I'm telling you, that old Silver Spox is smooth with this game. He knows exactly how to put that look on his face that is just going to make him seem so pitiful and misunderstood. Yep, that is exactly what he's going to do. So, oh man. Anyway, he's probably somewhere right now running through his lines with someone. And of course, again, if we have taken anything from 1649, remember who the heir is. I think if it came down to it, William wouldn't do anything to try to help him. William is just buying his time. That's it. He's already cashing in on the Duchy of Cornwall. Next step, Duchy of Lancaster. Camilla. Oh, yeah. So I wonder if the president of South Africa is going to be invited to the coronation. They have made great friends with one another, and I have no doubt that among all of the black people that they have been highlighting and pushing in front of the camera, touching and rubbing and shaking hands with, if you're going to reach out and touch somebody black, might as well start with the president of South Africa. Uh, I wonder, I wonder what's in his diplomatic pouch. Oh man, the table they set with gold flatware too. I took the napkins and stuffed them in my shoes. I had a bag of cash waiting in my room. I said to my driver, zoom, zoom, zoom. Yep. They have to have the president of South Africa at the coronation because among everything else that's happening, you have to make sure that everybody knows how much he loves black people. Oh, we got black people everywhere. I gave him a bag of cash. Oh man. All right, you guys. So with that, I am done. I just wanted to end on a fun note. A lot of stuff to cover today. Um Oh yeah. What's that? He'll totally not address the last 5 years of torturing Meghan and Harry. Unless it is going to pay off for him, I'm not expecting much. Trust me, it is going to be very well orchestrated, and he is going to do everything he can. I mean, looking pitiful has been his default position. His default position is looking pitiful. The only time he ever breaks cover is when somebody hands him an exploding pen. If you hand him an exploding pen, or I mean, he didn't even lose. Did you notice that he didn't even break character when somebody hurled eggs at him? When people threw eggs at him, he was totally unbothered. But if you hand him an exploding pin, I'm telling you, it is going to be the Fukushima Daiichi. It is going to be Mount Etna. He will blow like Mount St. Helens if you hand him an exploding pin. But if not, he is going to stay in character. I'm telling you, he. Let me see. I forgot how Charles responded to Biden congratulating. I didn't see that. I didn't see that. Thank you, Elaine Parker. I did not see that. Oh well, yeah, you guys, it's been over 2 hours, so I'm not going to drag this out. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, moderators. And I got a bunch of messages about the giveaway that I need to look at. I didn't get a chance to do that, so I'm going to look at the messages for the books we gave away and make sure all of that is good. And so I don't have anything to announce about that today. But I know that some of you all have been in touch with your books coming to you. So I'm not going to go into that because I'm not sure exactly who has or has not been spoken to. But if you have asked for a book and, check your emails and see if you're all caught up with that. Okay. All right. So, and with that, I am going to bid farewell to what do you call it? To the president of South Africa and his new best friend, Old Moneybags. Oh man. And let me see. And the last word of the day is, there you go. Good night, everyone. Sounds pretty to me. Oh, there's a list. All right, let me check it out. I do have a list. Let me see. Really? Okay, there it is. I got it. Oh, so thank you so much for your donations today. Legs, Lane Parker, Panther, Marvell Walker for your new membership, KDV, and Judy, thank you very much for your donations to Royal Sussex. And happy Monday to you all. All right, you guys, I think we're good. And I also want to thank two of the best people ever to walk this earth. And that, of course, is our Queen of Hearts and our Queen of Everything. Thank you to the mamas. You know what? I stayed up late last night watching a story about Margaret, whatever her name is, the mother, or well, Henry VIII's grandmother, and how she, was a single mother when she gave birth to her 13-year-olds. I'm sorry, when she was 13 years old, when she gave birth to Henry Tudor, who was the King Henry Tudor, the grandfather, was he? Oh, no, yeah, grandfather, the grandfather of Henry VIII, that Henry Tudor. And so I guess he was Henry VII. Yeah, Henry VII. Interesting story about how she, as a single mother at 13 years old, she managed to save herself and save her child from some very vulnerable years in their lives, and that at one point she didn't even see him for 14 years because she sent him a very pointed message: run, because he might have claim to the throne. So she didn't want him to get beheaded like everybody else, so she told him to run. So it was very interesting. I had never heard of her before, Lady Margaret something, but he was the queen mother and then queen grandmother. She actually lived to see her son's coronation and then her grandson, Henry VIII. But yeah, very interesting story. So I watched that last night, among other things. Been watching a lot of stuff, binge watching stuff. So, and it's a nice break from other issues and things like that. So I'm glad for it. Enjoyed it. Okay, so with that, let us cue the Ginger Avenger, and I will see you all tomorrow. Let me see. All right, go Ginger Avenger.
I had dinner with the king. He handed me some cash. I asked what's in the bag. He said, "Don't even ask." Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh. Oh, yeah. Oh. There should be like a play or even a musical where they base it on their sudden friendship. That would be fun. All right, you guys, I'm gonna go. I'll see you.